Today's video will be going over how to create renewal invoice records, as well as the options you have to email them and mail them out to your members in the system. To start with then, we are here in the member billing page, and we will begin by creating renewal invoice records by date using this option here to create batch renewal records for our members. So if we head into this page, we're going to see a screen that looks like this. This first option here is letting you know that these date ranges are going to be based off of the effective dates for your invoices. So this is going to be the first date on your invoice when it becomes effective. So if the invoice is for November 1st of 2017 through November 1st of 2018, that first November 1st date is going to be the effective date. The other way you could think of it is when your members' current invoice would be expiring. So if they're going to expire on November 1st of this year, then their next invoice would also become effective on November 1st of this year. So that is the range you're going to be using here with the dates. The other thing to be sure to notice is just your posting lead dates here. This is letting you know how far in advance you're going to be able to create these invoices. These dates can be changed in your billing configuration, which we'll go over in a later video, but you'll be able to see what current settings you have right here on this screen. And then finally, you have a last run date. So this is just letting you know the last time you created batch invoice records. So you can keep an eye on that and make sure that is as you would expect it to be. Now we'll move on and look at the date ranges itself. So again, these are looking at the effective dates of the invoices you're looking to create. So if we were to create invoices for anyone becoming effective as of November, we could go ahead and use a November 1st and go ahead and go through December 1st. So this is going to look for anyone whose invoice would be effective as of November 1st through December 1st. If you are a fixed year organization, meaning all of your members renew and expire on the same dates as one another, then you'll only need to come through once a year and create these invoices. If you're on an anniversary system, meaning your members renew and expire based on when they originally joined, that is giving them all individual effective dates, then you'll probably want to come in here about once a month and just make sure you're catching everyone. The other option here then is to limit to member type. So all of your member plans will be listed here. If you'd like to create only invoice records for one plan type at a time, then you have the option to do so. However, you also have the all plans option, which will let you create invoices for all of your members at once. Once everything looks correct on this page, you can go ahead and click Submit. This is not going to create them immediately. It's just going to take you to a preview page. So you can always do this and then make changes if needed. So on this page, again, we're going to have a preview of the invoices we would be creating. So we're going to have a count here. So if you have an idea of the number of members who should be renewing, that's going to let you confirm that that is accurate. And then you also have a total here. Amount. Again, if you know the amount you're looking for, that is going to allow you a quick overview of that. The other items you're going to be able to see here is the name of your member. If you hover, you're going to notice that it is a link as well. So if we were to open one of these names in another tab, you can see we get taken straight to the individual billing page for that member. So if you ever find it odd that a member's on the page or you want to take a closer look at their record, that's all you'll need to do, and then you can come right back in here. The other information you're going to be able to see is the member type of the member as well as their original join date. So that's just giving you some of that historical information. You also see the posting date. So today is November 3rd. So if we were to generate these invoices today, they would be posted as of November 3rd. The effective date is, again, that first date for the member's invoice. This date is going to depend on the specific member and their former expiration date and their current effective date. So as you can see, these two members have different effective dates, but they're both falling in that November 1st to December 1st range we use to pull these invoices. And then you'll also see the amount for each of the members' invoices. We do recommend normally scrolling through this page before you generate your invoices, just to make sure everything's looking normal and correct to you and nothing pops off as odd. The other thing to notice then is you may at times get this red warning up here. This warning is letting you know that there's a member who needs an invoice created that is outside of the date range that you set. So as we can see, we would need to include the date of 4/2/16 in order to have this member have an invoice created. If you do want to include that member, all you need to do is go back one page and adjust your date range accordingly to include it. However, if you don't need this member to have an invoice, this warning will not stop you from creating them. So you would be able to proceed with creating your renewal invoices if you would like. If everything looks correct on the screen, then you can click this button, Create Renewal Invoices, and then you'll be taken to this review screen once more. You're again going to see your members' names, a count for how many invoices were created, and then a results screen. You will normally see a renewed successfully. If for any reason the invoice was not created, it will also tell you why. Most likely, it's if you tried to create the invoice too far in advance, again, based on those posting dates we saw on the first page. But if all goes well, you'll have your renewed successfully, and all of your members will then have their invoice generated. One thing to note is that when you create a member's invoice, this does not send out a notification to them. So you can create the invoices, they'll be added to the member's record, but the member will be not notified. If they log in and take a look at their billing record, they will be able to see this unpaid invoice, but they won't be notified of it unless you either mail the invoice or email the invoice. If you'd like to do either of these options, you'll have to return to the billing menu. Let's start with emailing it, which is what I see most commonly. So you would come under batch emails, choose batch renewal email notifications. We do recommend using the same date range that you used when generating the invoices, just to make sure you're picking up that same range. And then you would also want to use the same member plan type. So since we used all members, we would stick to that. But again, you do have the option to choose by specific member plan types. Again, we'll hit submit when we're ready and head into this page, which is where we set up the actual email. Here at the top, we see a message letting us know that the default verbiage will be used, but there's also a link here to change that verbiage if we would like to. We're going to go into further detail on how you can change the default verbiage in a separate video, but just know you can come in and change it while creating the email, even though I do advise trying to get that set up before you come into this system. If you don't want to use the default verbiage, but you also don't want to change it. So say you like the default verbiage you have set up, but you want to send just this once a separate message. This is then when you could use this verbiage box here. This editor is going to allow you to type right in here, format and create your message as you would like, but entering anything into this box will override your default verbiage. So you could then create a separate message, make sure it looks the way you like, and then continue. However, if you would like to use your default verbiage, you can just leave this completely blank and your default will be used. This messaging down here is this first line telling you that if you'd like to use the custom verbiage, you can create it here and that's going to override your default. Otherwise, you can leave this blank and your default will be used. It's also letting you know that the email will automatically include the amount due, the due date, and the member's name at the bottom of the email so that they know this. And also, if you're allowing for online payment, there will be a link for them to renew and pay right online, as well as a cancel link. And then a PDF invoice of the document will be attached to the email as well. So your members will have that to easily view. All of that will be included automatically. All you'll have to worry about is if you want to create a new verbiage message or leave the default as it is. Once you have the email set up, you are able to review who the emails would be going to. So the information you're able to see is the invoice number. If it says REN, that's letting you know it's a renewal invoice. If it says new, that is a new member invoice. So that is that first initial invoice a member has when joining your organization. You're also able to see the amount that the invoice is for, The name and email of the member, and if they have a billing email, that will be included as well. And then also a last sent date, which can be helpful if you have multiple people working within your billing system. You'll be able to see when these emails were last sent to make sure you're not sending out multiple emails more often than you would like. And then before we click the send button, there is also this red note down here. So that is just letting us know that any of the emails or any of the members listed below do not have email addresses on file. So when we send out this renewal notification email, these members would not be receiving it. In this case, we do have a hard copy mailing option, which we'll go over next. And you could do this to reach these members with their invoices if they don't have emails within your system. However, if everything on this page looks correct, then you can go ahead and click here to send renewal notifications. And when we do that, we'll see it sending. You will want to leave this page open until you see that notifications have been sent. So just make sure to leave it open while they're sending. But once they're done, you'll be all set. These invoice notifications have been sent out to your members, and they will now receive their invoices and have the ability to pay them. If we head back to the billing menu, as I said, we are going to go ahead and go over how you could send hard copies of your invoices out to members. So if you wanted to do that, we'll now come under batch printing. And this first option here, renewal notices, PDF invoices. So again, we're going to want to use that same date range that we used when generating the invoices, just again to make sure we're getting those same invoices. I normally recommend keeping this checked. That is to exclude invoices marked as paid. This way you're not sending out invoices that are already paid and possibly confusing your members who either thought they paid or tried to pay again. You also have this option to exclude members with email addresses. So if you had just sent out your email notifications and you had some of those members in red who did not have email addresses and you only wanted to send out invoices to them, this is the option you could then use. Any of your members who just received that email notification will not be listed. However, if you're trying to send your invoices out with a hard copy to all of your members for that time period, you can leave that unchecked and everyone will be included. There's also this exclude members with monthly plans. So if you do have monthly members and you don't want them to receive their hard copy PDF, you can just check this box and they will be excluded from this. However, if you'd like all member plans to receive it, you can leave it unchecked and you'll be all set. And then you have your invoice types. So any invoices is going to bring up any invoices within the system for this date range. And by any, we can see the following options here. We do have non-dues invoices, which would be any invoice which is not related to dues. So if you have any of those set up separately, that is what would be getting sent out. We also have new member invoices. So those are going to be dues invoices for those new members within your system, that first invoice that they're receiving. Renewal dues would be for any dues invoices after the first time. So anyone renewing within your system would fall under this. And then your dues invoices are going to include both renewal and new members. So you could choose that for any dues types, or you can choose any invoices, which is going to include all your dues invoices as well as your non-dues. So we'll leave it at any invoices for now, but you do have all those options. And then you also have the zip and postal sort, which I see used most often. And this is just going to be the option used to sort your PDF invoices on the next page. Once you have everything set up, you can then click submit, and we'll have a link here for the PDF output. If we take a look at that then and scroll through, we're going to see invoices for all of our members within that date range. So then we'll be able to print these out, have that hard copy, and send them to our members. To make sending easier, we also then, if we head back to the renewals menu, have an option here for renewal mailing labels. This screen is going to look just like what we saw for the PDF invoices themselves. Again, we're going to want to use the same date range. We're also then going to want to have all these settings marked the same. We do have the same options here of exclude invoices marked as paid, exclude members with email addresses, exclude members with monthly plans, and then our different invoice types and our sort type. So I'm just going to go ahead and mark all of these the same as what we just used. And then once that's done, we can click submit. And again, we're going to see a link for a PDF output. So then on this page, we'll have our printable billing labels, which we can then use to send those out. That then would be how you would be able to create your batch renewal email or batch renewal invoices, send them out via renewal email, and then also send them out via hard copy in the mail. If you are wanting to create an invoice for just one single member, rather than all of your members at one time, you can then use the Create Single Invoice Record. You'll see all of your members listed here, and you'll see a Renew button to the right of them. So if you do that, you can choose one member you'd like to renew, click the Renew option, and then that is going to create a renewal for them. Again, before we do that, you can just see the information listed here. You have the member's name. You'll see when they're currently set to expire. You'll see their member type, and you'll also see when they originally joined. If that all looks correct, we can go ahead and click Renew for this member. It's letting us know that they were renewed successfully, and then also letting us go and view this member's transactions. If we needed to edit the invoice for any reason, we could do that. That's going to allow us to adjust the dates for the invoice as well as the effective and expiration dates. But I'm actually going to leave that be for now because we're going to go over this as well in a later video. But for now, we'll go ahead and view this member's transactions. And we then have two options for sending this email notification to the member. We could either click the invoice link and click here to send an invoice email. We're then going to see this same email page we saw for our batch renewals, but now we're only sending out the one. Again, the default verbiage will be used unless we type in here, and everything else remains the same. The other option I would point out where we're on this page is the override email option here. If you ever want to test your emails and see what they look like, you can enter your email here instead, and then when you send the notification, it will go to whoever's email you entered here rather than the member themselves. So that is just a good way. You can take a look at those before you send them. Otherwise, you could then click here to send renewal notifications, and this member now had their individual invoice created and had it sent to them. And then we can go back to the billing menu and we are all set. The other option that's good for emailing or checking when you emailed is this option here for email report, send email to member. This is going to list all of your members and any invoices they have on record. If you click the invoice link for any of the members, it's again going to take you into this email page, and you're going to be able to send a notification out for that specific invoice. So you can send them out for the normal invoice message, which will be that renewal notification message. If it is past due, you also have a past due link. If you click this option, it's going to send out the past due verbiage for your emails. And then you also have a bit more information here. So again, you have their name, their invoices. You'll be able to see if it's a renewal invoice, a new invoice, or ND for non-dues. If it is past due, you'll see it appear here in this column. You'll see the balance of your invoice, and then also when your last notification was sent. So this is letting us know that this member received a renewal notification on August 30th of 2017. You can also see some members received a new member notification. If it was past due, it would notify you that as well, and then let you see when they were sent. So that is just a good way to keep track of when your members are receiving these notifications, and then also an easy way that you can come in, select a member, and just choose the invoice you would like to send a notification for. Overall, though, that is how you'll go about your billing system for creating batch invoices, creating single invoices, mailing batch renewal email notifications, as well as mailing hard copy PDF invoices to your members. If you do have any other questions about this, the help desk is always available to answer more of your questions. And then you can also always send in a ticket, and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.